Good evening. Mark Kulak, He's Talked Out Live, Monday, January 27th, 2025. It is 10:20 in the evening. And a quick news reading tonight. We're just going to be checking in on an article in the New York Times. It's very recent. It was just January 27th, 2025. And the title of the article is A Troubling Spike in Sleep-Related Infant Deaths. Obviously, as sad a thing as you could read about. Subtitle is, A New Study Found That United States Infant Mortality Rates Overall Are Dropping, but that rates of sudden unexpected infant death may have increased in recent years. It's written by Catherine Pearson, Pearson, who I'm not familiar with. So I'm going to read this. We may watch a video after this and then a couple quick commentary, and then that's going to be the show for today. Very, very busy with the archival activities today. Rates of sudden unexpected infant death in the United States increased by nearly 12% from the years 2020 to 2022, according to new research published on Monday in the journal JAMA Pediatrics. That's the Journal of American Medical Association, I think. Though the study offered some good news, overall infant mortality rates dropped by 24% from 1999 to the year 2022. It also raised questions about why more babies appear to be dying during sleep and why rates of sleep-related death remain notably higher among Black, Native American, and Pacific Islander babies than among white and Asian infants. Dr. Elizabeth Wolf, W-O-L-F, one F, an associate professor of pediatrics with Children's Hospital of Richmond at Virginia Commonwealth University, who was among the new study's authors, called the findings, quote, pretty alarming, unquote. She said, quote, the death of an infant from SIDS, or SUID, is unbelievably horrific, unquote, using two acronyms that describe sleep-related deaths among infants. She went on to say, quote, and we, as a public health community, need to do everything we can to try and reduce the risk factors as much as possible, unquote. Understanding SUID. I think that's sudden unexplained infant death. The terminology used to describe the circumstances around an infant death in the sleep environment can be difficult for parents to parse, Dr. Wolf said. The new study looked at rates of sudden unexpected infant death, or SUID, which is a broad term that encompasses all deaths in the sleep environment. That category includes cases of death by sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS, the puzzling syndrome in which a child under age 1 dies with no clear medical or environmental cause, as well as by other causes, including accidental suffocation. Some of the factors that can put sleeping infants at risk are beyond parents' control, such as a baby's premature birth or illness. But other risks are potentially preventable. For example, by limiting exposure to nicotine during pregnancy and after, by breastfeeding, which is believed to offer some protection against SIDS, and by giving babies a safe sleep environment. Rates of sleep-related infant deaths plummeted in the 1990s thanks to a national education campaign encouraging parents and caregivers to put babies to sleep on their backs instead of their stomachs, but have stagnated since. Next subsection is making sense of the increase. The new study does not offer any evidence about what is behind the seeming increase in sleep-related infant deaths. But Dr. Wolf and her colleagues offered several hypotheses, including that the rise might be linked to the surge of COVID and other respiratory illnesses, maternal opioid use, which I want to comment on towards the end, and the influence of social media in spreading unsafe sleep practices. Dr. Michael Goodstein, who's a director of newborn services for WellSpan Health and a member of the American Academy of Pediatrics Task Force on SUID, who was not involved in the new study, said, "It's my prayer that this is just a blip that's really tightly tied to the pandemic and that it'll come back down," unquote. The AAP, I think American Academy of Pediatrics, regularly updates its recommendations on safe sleep. Babies should be placed on their backs in a crib, a bassinet, or a portable play yard with a firm, flat mattress and a fitted sheet. There should be no loose bedding, toys, or bumpers, which can increase the risk of suffocation. And though bed sharing is common in many parts of the world, the AAP does not recommend it under any circumstances. Dr. Wolf said she was particularly concerned about the role that social media may be playing in promoting unsafe sleep practices. She pointed to a 2021 study that found many Instagram posts showed babies sleeping in environments that didn't meet the AAP's guidelines. The next subsection is spreading the word of unsafe sleep. It is not always easy for parents to determine whether products that are advertised to help babies sleep better are actually safe, said Alicia McHatton, a clinical nurse at UC Davis, University of California, Davis Children's Hospital in Sacramento, California. She often recommends parents and caregivers check saferproducts.gov, that's one word, a federal database maintained by the United States Consumer Protection Safety Commission. Experts emphasize that many factors contribute to sleep-related infant deaths and acknowledge the challenges families face in keeping babies safe, particularly in the United States, which is among the few remaining countries with no paid paternal leave. Safe sleep practices aren't just important at night, but throughout the day, said Gail Bagwell, a doctor of nursing practice with Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio. She said, quote, "Every caregiver of that child needs to know that. I have personally known people who were practicing safe sleep with their babies at home, come back to work, and the first day back, the babysitter called and said, 'Your baby is heading to the hospital,'" unquote. So I'm not going to comment on other reasons, which I speculate could be behind the increase in SIDS or SUID. I'll leave that. I think that we can have an onset agreement on what some of those things might be. I did want to comment, though, on the one section which did call out maternal opioid use in particular. Now, as I've said so many times, it's painful to hear, but it's even more painful that it's true. The United States has had nearly 500,000 drug overdose deaths in the 4 years of 2021 to 2024, more or less the Biden-Harris administration, although, to be honest, I don't think Biden and Harris really ran the show during that period of time. So, but nonetheless, it did happen. It was horrible, and anyone that says it was just a blip misses the fact that the baseline is historically going back to 1999, as this article does here, was around 20,000 a year total. And many of those deaths are people who are younger. Some can be infants. The cases which are infants are usually exposure to like fentanyl pill repressing in, let's say, in baby child care situations, or living in an unsafe situation. And many people who are late teens, 20s, and 30s are impacted by it by addiction as well, and drug overdose, and hence experiencing drug overdose deaths. Now, it is true that more children have been born to mothers who have been using narcotics during the pregnancy. women have a very strong primal urge to stay clean during pregnancy. It's amazing. There's there, even women who are smoking and know that they should quit smoking. It's many times, I'm not saying all, but many times they can find strength to quit things which they know are bad because suddenly they know it's not about them anymore. But because of a preponderance of situations such as, for example, women who are drug users may be less likely to know they are pregnant because certain types of drug use can result in the in various let's just say cycles to not be as evident or even to stop. So there can be it can actually be more difficult for women who are drug users to know they are pregnant. They may not know for a while, and hence this can cause situations which, even if a woman were to clean up an expecting mom, the child has already been exposed, and then there's going to be a certain amount of they need to deal with that addiction and that withdrawal when the child is born. There's horrible videos to watch out there that show what this entails. You can watch it if you wish. There's many of them on YouTube. Unfortunately, as I show here, actually that's not the video. That's not the screen I wanted. That's actually my video animations. I'm sorry about that. I should say music videos. These videos are actually several years old. I would have actually expected more of them given the opioid epidemic within the United States. So the drug epidemic is not spoken about that often, and I openly speculate that one of the reasons it's not spoken about is because that data flies in the face of the deadly novel virus narrative. And unfortunately, many people across the political spectrum, and as well as every bit as guilty in the supposed free-thinking, citizen media, citizen researcher space, just won't mention it, sadly, which is one of the reasons why it has continued and gotten worse, because it is not spoken of. So here the New York Times at least can mention maternal opioid use. They still don't mention the drug epidemic itself. But also, I'm not sure. I mean, it's very possible that being born to a mom who had been using opioids can lead to a situation where SIDS is more likely. There's no reason to doubt that at all. However, I will say that the nature of the addiction that the children are born with isn't necessarily one that you would think spike at night and lead to suffocation. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. If anything, there could be other things happening, and you know what they may be, which could lead to a child who is born to a mother who had been using opioids in particular, that could make those children more likely to die in their sleep when exposed to other things. And you can guess what those things are. So it's very possible that there could be a correlation here, which isn't instead of a causation, as this is suggesting. Anyways, you have to, if you want to understand the spectrum of the news, you have to read across several different sites. I know this is not a message that seems even possible or is welcome, but you're going to get a lot of news that you won't get elsewhere from the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. I'm not saying it's the bastion of truth. What I'm saying, though, is you need to get these sources as well. I haven't heard anyone else even mentioning this lately. So with that said, I wanted this to be a 15-minute show. Thank you, guys. I have to get back to the massive amounts of archiving. I'm hoping to live stream a lot on, I think it's 2 days from now, not tomorrow, but the day after, during RFK Jr.'s hearing. I think it's going to be very interesting. The things which are talked about, and in particular, the things which are not talked about. I will share more details on that tomorrow. So you guys take care, stay positive, stay constructive, stay healthy the best you can. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Love you very much. Good night.